And the number of people who do not believe in absolute truth is now above the majority for the first time. So 1 in 3 teen girls contemplated suicide last year. 1 in 4 high school students identifies as something other than straight. We're losing the country.
I think hypocrisy is the kindest word you could use. There's also a distortion of what he claims to be his religion. Because what happens to the part of in the Bible about love your neighbor? They selectively misquote parts of the Bible to distort some very conservative, right-wing, archaic politics. What is godly or Christian-like about that?
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
Yeah, I think I'll take my religious cues from the Reverend over the creepy grown adult without a bank account.
Ask you this because there's been so much made about it. Vanity Fair says this: what's up with Mike Johnson's very shady seeming financial disclosures? They say you've never reported a bank account or an assets on a financial disclosure form going back to 2016. Can you clear that up for us?
Yes, look, I'm a man of modest means, okay? I was a lawyer, but I did constitutional law, and most of my career I spent in the nonprofit sector. Expenses, but I can relate to everybody else.
Over the weekend, MSNBC ran a segment featuring words from the new Republican Speaker Mike Johnson, who over the weekend took a break from wielding his Bible to share some revisionist propaganda on January 6th, because, of course.
I'm all in for President Trump. I think I expect he'll be our nominee. Yeah.
I mean, what did you expect him to do? Actually help focus on issues that could benefit everyday Americans?
We need more gun laws. We need more legislation. Yeah. What's your answer to that?
At the end of the day, the problem is the human heart. It's not guns.
No, come on. That's not what Trump put him there to do. But anywho, in response to one of his many anti-LGBTQ tirades, MSNBC turned to someone who knows a thing or two about said Bible. You know, that thing that Republicans love to selectively quote from. The same Bible their fearless cult leader who was chosen by Jesus, according to them.
And I thank you that he will walk in a holy boldness and a wisdom, God, and that you will go before him. You will be his rear guard.
Fold upside down before being unable to quote a single passage from it. Well, speaking on this was Reverend Sharpton, and he had some things to say on their hypocrisy.
That our generation has been convinced that there's a separation of church and state, right? We heard that term all the time. And most people think that that's part of the Constitution, but it's not.
And the number of people who do not believe in absolute truth is now above the majority for the first time. So 1 in 3 teen girls contemplated suicide last year. 1 in 4 high school students identifies as something other than straight. We're losing the country.
So we're all clear. That was a conservative lawmaker who refused to certify the safe and secure 2020 presidential election, unironically bemoaning the lack of trust in our institutions, focusing instead on the number of gay teens across this country. Joining our conversation, president of the National Action Network and host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC, Reverend Sharpton. Molly is back with me. Rev, I mean, the hypocrisy. Your reaction to Speaker Johnson's words there?
Well, I think hypocrisy is the kindest word you could use. There's also a distortion of what he claims to be his religion. Because what happens to the part of in the Bible about love your neighbor? What happens to about dealing with those that are impoverished? So they selectively misquote parts of the Bible to distort some very conservative, right-wing, archaic politics. And I think that is what bothers me more than anything. When you look at this same man that was on that interview and look at what he this week had to play all kind of political games to push through a measure, to a continuing resolution to keep the government paid, where you got millions of federal employees hanging in the balance there. You have another fundamentalist that won't certify military officers. What is godly or Christian-like about that? When he talks about church attendance, what church do they go to that tells them to put Medicaid and Medicare at risk for people that are poor, the kind of people Jesus healed? So it is a distortion and a perversion. I've been a preacher since I was a little boy. I know the Bible. The Bible ought not be running the country. This is a democracy, not a theocracy. But if you even gonna quote the Bible, quote it right.
And this is something that countless Democrats have echoed ever since MAGA Mike took the gavel that nobody wanted.
So I want to ask you about Mike Johnson because, you are a constitutional scholar. He is somebody who has said he believes the Bible comes first over the Constitution. I want to
start with this. When we take our oath of office, we put our hand on the Bible and we swear to uphold the Constitution. We don't put our hand on the Constitution and swear to uphold the Bible.
When it comes to enforcing their religious beliefs on others, Republicans love to pick and choose as a means to justify their authoritarian agenda. They want a theocracy. It is blatant, and it's never more prevalent in their pro-life stance.
When the Supreme Court issued the Obergefell opinion, that became the law of the land, okay? I respect the rule of law, but I also genuinely love all people, regardless of their lifestyle choices. Someone asked me today in the media, they said, it's curious, people are curious, what does Mike Johnson think about any issue under the sun? I said, well, go pick up a Bible off your shelf and read it. That's my world.
As I try to do everything I can to remind people when Republicans get on their soapbox and scream about protecting life while doing absolutely everything in their power to hinder said life when it comes into the world.
And if you really are pro-family, if you care about families, if you want to support families, then you got to support things like the president's push to have insulin be $35. If he really cares about families, maybe take another look at the child tax credit. Let's talk about what it really means to support families, whether it's LGBTQ plus individuals or any other family in America trying to get through life.
Voting against beneficial paternity leave, lowering healthcare costs, making schools safer, making school lunches free, strengthening public schools, boosting after-school programs, increasing mental health support. It's the same old story as it is with the military, the border, anything that actually requires action in support of said cause. Lip service is as far as they go.
The radical sort of homosexual agenda of the country wants judges to decide this issue and not the people.
We don't live in a democracy because a democracy is two wolves and a lamb deciding what's for dinner, okay? It's not just majority rule, it's a constitutional republic. And the founders set that up because they followed the biblical admonition on what a civil society is supposed to look like.
And his path to Republican politics began as senior attorney for a group dedicated to destroying LGBTQ plus protections and outlawing abortion, now known as the Alliance Defending Freedom. The group that's trying to ban the abortion pill mifepristone and who represented a Colorado baker who refused to make a cake for a gay couple and a web designer who refused to make a hypothetical wedding site for a gay couple that didn't exist.
But if you even gonna quote the Bible, quote it right.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.